give back to the community. So, without any further ado, Elena.
Thanks. All right, fulfilling Kuleana. So, kind of heavy, that word. It's a lot of weight. Kuleana. It's not the same as responsibility, right? It's like, oh, Kuleana, like, did my ancestors like put something on me? It feels a little heavier. So Kuleana is really rooted in the question my dad gave to me and my twin sister. What will you do to give back to our community when you grow up? And it was almost like unsaid. Like he never said it outright, but you could feel it come through because he was a community police officer and he gave whatever he could. And he had so much energy. And so I will show, there it is. He is a big part of my foundation. And look, we're building a rock wall. The rock wall that actually protected my family, in front of my house. So it's a lot of, symbolism there. That's us on a Saturday, and, we just thought about how to design it and how to build something like that. And, many, many hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds of rocks that we moved and we put up there. So, you got to think about foundation when you think about Kuleana, right? It's very important. So, Hilo roots, Japanese and Filipino, definitely a pidgin speaker, and I'll say a little bit about that. Japanese, Filipino, it's like, and I told everyone, I didn't want my mom to be the only one here. She's not here yet, so. Hey, Mom! Can you take a picture and send it to my mother? Mom, she's actually on her way with my stepdad, and who taught across the street at Waikea High. So Filipino from the sugar plantation, all of that. Japanese from truck and trailer that used to supply the auto parts for the big trucks. How about a round of applause for my, this is my mom, Mavis, and that's my stepdad, Eric Hagiwara. He used to teach math across the street. He just retired from Waikea High School in July. Yeah. He was also, and I apologies for not saying this, but my friends who are Zonchans, please raise your hands. You guys are in the room, yes, Martha. And that's part of also my foundation, the Zonta Club. My stepfather gave many hours of his many years to the Zonta Club so I'm stalling because they got to sit down. Gave many years so they could, of his expertise for girls in STEM education. So he helped them. There's a seat right here. Here are the other two people that are part of my foundation. So yes, my foundation, family, family definitely. Mother, daughter, sister, niece, cousin, auntie, friends, the whole shebang. And everyone in this room falls under that, right? So one of many of those. Number 4, it's like never in my little girl would I ever think that I would put lesbian right up there, boom. But when you're 7th grade and you're like, oh, I kind of feel different, Jeff. That's part of your foundation. These are just 4 parts of my foundation, but they're serious because if you don't feel secure in who you are, how's your foundation? How do you know what you believe in, what you stand for? How do you stand strong in your Kuleana? So you must know who you are to move forward and carry out your responsibilities to your community. Okay, so there's a path here. You got to know where I went to elementary school, Waikea Waina, Waikea Inter, Waikea High, and then Hawaii Prep in Waimea. And this is about Hawaii Prep is an example of when there's an opportunity that comes, you have to just take a deep breath and raise your hand and say, I'd like to take that. We played volleyball in the 7th grade, and we met the older girls who were from Hawaii Prep. And they were a little bit different, and it was like kind of like there was something that drew me to them. And so the older girls, there were 2 girls that were from Hilo, and they actually got the scholarship. They were like ready to go. They played, when you play with, this is how sports work. And then, next thing you know, someone's transferring to Hawaii Prep, or somebody's transferring to Kamehameha, or, Hilo, or Waikea. So our 2 friends, at the very last minute, said, we're not going to go. They turned down their scholarship to Hawaii Prep. And I was like, Mom, do you think we could try for that? And was that how it went? Yeah? Do you think we could try for that? Do you think we could ask? And she said, let me see what we can do. My twin sister was a different story. She was like, oh, but I play softball. Did you play softball with her? No, right? You played softball. And then my mom just said, to my mother's credit, and fortunately for my sister, my mom said, just try. You can always come back home. And with that, my sister and I went to Hawaii Prep in the 10th grade. And we were like leaving after school, to go and hang out over there. From 9th grade, 9th grade, This is Nadine Hara, She used to be Nadine Gyotoku. She was my team captain in the 9th grade at Waikea High School. And reminds me very much of my mother. Tried being bossed around on the soccer field by her. You run a little faster. So Hawaii Prep was definitely one of those examples of when the opportunity presents itself, you raise your hand and you step forward and you take it and you make the most of it. I will say the first semester, we practically flunked out. It was such a steep learning curve. And that's where I realized that I wasn't speaking English the whole time. So the rest of the time at HPA, I didn't speak any Pidgin. That was really sad because, in hindsight, it was really sad. But that's where I learned English. I learned English at HPA, actually through taking a French class. So I got really good at French and English there. And Mr. Bryson, who was the football coach, was my English teacher and my mentor. And I tell the students when I talk to high schoolers and college students, I say, before HBA, I wanted to play women's basketball for Vince Gu at Manoa. Who who remembers Vince Gu? No. Yes. And after HBA, I wanted, the universe opened up and all of a sudden Georgetown was a possibility. And I'll say this, my SAT scores weren't great. Not weighted, for the people who are more new to the SATs, but I went to Georgetown with a 1060. That's pretty low. But, I studied hard, I got good grades, and so Georgetown was an opportunity, again, where I raised my hand and I was like, I think I'd like to go there, and they let me come for a visit. And that visit was during the blizzard of '96 on the East Coast. It was actually canceled. And I was in the middle of playing a soccer game all the way in Ka'u, left my bag at HPA, and a police car rolls up to the soccer field at halftime, and he rolls down the window and says, is there an Elena Cabatu here? I was like, I'm not in trouble, that is my sister. She is the one who sneaks out of the dorm room, not me. And so, so he said, it looks like the weather's clearing. Your dad said you have to go to DC today. Like now? Like now. So my dorm mother drove my bag in. My stepmom picked me up. I took a shower at my mom's house. And then I went to Foot Locker and got hiking shoes because it was a blizzard. And then I went on the plane. And that was my recruitment trip. I came home after a great trip to Georgetown, American U, and George Washington. And we had a family dinner. My dad was there, my stepdad was there, my mom was there. I don't think my stepmom was there, but, and the Princeton review was on the table. Opened up to Georgetown, and I think, did you guys prepare to tell me no that day, or what? What happened then? This is exactly what happened. They were like, oh my God, she's coming home. What are we gonna tell her, you know? And it felt like that. So they sat me down and they said, look. And I looked, it said $32,000. And I said, you know, I had all these siblings, like 8 of us. And I was like, oh. But what I did was, it felt like it was a no coming for me. I said, well, and I slammed the thing down, slammed the magazine closed, and I said, I don't care, I'm going. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I don't care, I'm going. And I went. And it was really scary. But you don't know, I wouldn't know, I was 18 years old, I just went. You know, thank goodness for HPA, it prepared me to be away from home. So I just went and I played soccer for the soccer team. You know, I'm not that tall, right? So it was, you know, funny when I say I had a volleyball scholarship, you know, but I had a soccer scholarship to Georgetown, played there, majored in English and linguistics. There are government students in here, yeah? Yeah? Some?
Poli-sci.
Poli-sci. Okay, good. So, and after college, I had to find a job, yeah. So that leads me to this, but I'll say this, I did, during the pandemic, get my master's in business with healthcare during the pandemic. That was kind of rough, but we can go back to that later, or talk about that later if you want. So this is how I started my career. I said, well, maybe I should kind of focus because, you know, I knew I liked writing, so I wanted to communicate to the masses. And then I was like, well, I guess I'm starting to care about things, you know. Maybe I want to do something, something I care about. Because I think when I grew up, we weren't too political, yeah? We weren't like, we were apolitical. We just did our own thing and just lived. But I did want to work on issues I care about. And then I wanted to do something that matters, something that helps. Because I think when you do that, you can't go wrong. You can't be guided incorrectly when you want to do something that matters, that helps other people. So that's how I started my career. And my first job was at the Communications Consortium Media Center, where I advocated for international women's rights and health through the media. So I would be tasked with like sending safe motherhood kits, it was like in a baggie, to all the editorial boards in the country that had Congress people that we wanted to vote for funding in a certain way to support women, you know, support programs that supported women and saved lives. And we mailed hundreds of these safe motherhood kits, and I should have put a picture of that, but it's very basic. It's like, you know, plastic sheeting, a scalpel and a tie to save a mom. And it's like really easy to, if a editorial board editor holds it in their hand, they can say, well, I guess we should be in favor of this, because how could you not be in favor of something that's $3 that could save a woman's life in another country? So that was my first job. And you know, my dad, I would say, you know, Dad, what do you think I do? And he goes, I don't know, talk story. You know, he couldn't wrap his mind around it, but you know, it all makes sense. The whole thing about the foundation and why this would speak to me and why it would speak to a lot of people that I truly care about. So let's fast forward. You know, I did that job for 6 or 7 years. Let's see, so this is what I do. I do marketing, public affairs, legislative affairs. Here I am holding a flu and COVID test kit with my friend Hannah Canosa in front of our pharmacy that we opened up maybe 2.5 years ago in the hospital. So that's meaningful, right? That's meaningful. I'm in my 18th year at the hospital, no, 19th year at the hospital, you know, and I feel like I'm in mid-career. I just turned 47, yeah. So I asked myself, and thank you for the opportunity for me to speak about this because, you know, it gave me the opportunity to reflect. Yes, I am in my mid-career. So are these guideposts still true? Am I still communicating to the masses, working on issues I care about, doing something that matters? And I think, oh, what happened there? Oh, it didn't come through. But the answer is yes, of course, yes. This is an elevator at Ka'u Hospital. We are still doing things that are improving the lives for people in Ka'u. And that's part of our hospitals out there. Ka'u Hospital, Ka'u is actually where my mom's family is from. So, you know, it feels a little bit extra, yeah. You just give a little bit extra when your family's from there. That's the new administrator. She's born and raised in Ka'u, Erica Polito. She's someone to be very, very proud of, and she will be there for a long, long time. I heard she's under 40. I said, oh, you have 45 years to work here then. Okay. Yeah. Oh, there it is. It's yes. It's yes. Is it still true? Yes, absolutely. So what about the future, right? Moving forward, it's like, I would say yes too. Because these are and some of you who are professors may know these people. These are our new nurse resident graduates. So they went 1 year in training after they graduated from whether it's UH Hilo or Hawaii Community College School of Nursing. So they are the future of our hospital. Each one of them makes over $100,000. That's a lot, yeah? But the hospital invested in them because we pay them as we train them and we acclimate them into their unit. There's no more of older nurses eating their young. None of that is there. And let me just say something about the culture of the hospital. So it is really true that we care for our patients like our family, friends, and neighbors. We always say family, friends, and neighbors. And we also have kind of a rally call that says, go malama. So go take care. Go take care. Go malama. So go take care of yourself. Go take care of your family, friends, and neighbors. And I think that's the difference you feel or have felt in the last 10 years of that culture change that's happening in the hospital. Like, oh, it's nice here. It's different. Something's different here. Or this 100-year-old lady who I was walking out one day and I walked her to her car and she goes, oh, it's not true anymore. You don't come here to die. I was like, oh, have a nice day. I'm like, oh, I guess we have changed. Oh my God. She was sweet and she made it out of the parking lot. She drove, yeah, she drove. But that's just one of the days. One day in the life, yeah. So these are our new nurses. And then we welcome the next class was also in the room. So we're churning these students. This is our 15th year of running this program, something to be very proud of. We are under construction, so this is also, part of my job is to have secured funding for this. And it's an $88 million project. And we had to get buy-in from the legislature to match what Mr. Benioff was giving us. So we needed to get $50 million from the legislature. And if you can think of any other project in Hilo besides maybe the courthouse that cost, $50 million, let me know. Because I was like, how are we supposed to get this money? We're only just asking for 1 million here, 1 million there. But I can tell you what we did. We worked very hard to show the legislature that we had integrity. At the beginning, we asked for emergency appropriations. The hospital is underwater. To our credit, Dan Brinkman said, we got to clean that up. He's our CEO and I will ride and die for him. Every organization I hope has a leader as strong as him. And all of our progress at the hospital is because of him, because he makes us do so much, But it's good, it's good. So the second floor that you see right here is the new ICU. It's 19 beds, and it's huge. It's pretty much the same size as the rest of the hospital. Yeah, and if any of you have been in an ICU lately, there's a lot of equipment that goes with caring for someone like, who's very sick. And if you realize when you're in one of our current ICU rooms, there's no bathroom. So we're modernizing it. Each intensive care patient requires more room. So that's why it's so much bigger. On the third floor will be 36 additional hospital beds. And at any given moment, our hospital can be over capacity, from 12, a few people to upwards of 40 people that, I think that was in the spring where we hit about 44 patients that had not necessarily no beds, because we'll find a bed. We'll find a space, we'll find a bed, you'll be fine, you'll be safe. But we don't necessarily have a room for you. So we have a curtain. We have a curtain separating you from the next person. But our community has outgrown our hospital, and we're working very hard to make sure that everyone gets the care we deserve. Yeah. Yes, we are headed in the right direction. So the last project, the expansion, we got $50 million from the legislature. Let me just go back. We broke ground in April 2024. And so what you see right now is a lot of progress that just happened like that. And that's how you gain trust from the legislature. You say, just give us the money, we'll make it happen, and boom. So at the groundbreaking, they said, what else do you have? Because they were real excited. The governor and the legislators, they said, what else do you have? And we said, well, we got this. This is a rendering of our clinic in Ke'au. And how many of you live in Ke'au? Ke'au. We had an initial location, but we wanted to be super duper welcomed by the neighbors, so we found another location that we were even more welcomed by the neighbors. This is right off the highway between Shipment Industrial Park and Shipment County, the county park. So you'll be able to see it. It's on a 20-acre plot of land. And it is a 36,000 square foot facility that will have urgent care, primary care, specialty care, and behavioral health. Right? Right now we are building the behavioral health program actually in Pahoa at Punakai on the second floor next to the lab. We have one psychologist, one psychiatrist, and 3 psychiatric nurse practitioners. That's starting the team. We also have more psychologists in our other rural health clinics in Hilo across the street from the hospital, and then one at our other Ke'au clinic by Long's in Ke'au. So we have components of building the behavioral health. 10 minutes, okay, we're there. So yes, we have this coming up. There's also going to be a lot of a full slate of imaging, including MRI, CT, ultrasound, and also pharmacy. So keep on churning them out. Thank you. I did go to speak with the psychology and psychiatry residents at UH Manoa last year, and some of them were from Big Island, from Hilo side, and they were like, I told them about this. They said, no way. And you saw, you saw that they could see their future coming back home. And that's the whole point of this, right? We need more behavioral health services. We also need more access to specialty care. So people from Ka'u, deep in Pahoa, they'll be able to access this without having to come all the way through town, all the way going up to Kaumana, to that corner of our wonderful, wonderful town. I'm just so excited for this, and more to come on this, yeah? Okay, so 18 years to go. So that would put me at 65, yeah? Did the math check out? So I'm on this side of the curve now, okay? And this is what I wanted to offer. I wanted to give a little to some of the students who are, working their way through college, to think about maybe some of us are in our mid of our career. We could think about this. Is it still true? Will it change? I don't know if it will change. It might change. Maybe we can add 2 more down there. But something to think about, right? What's after this? But I know whatever the future holds, it will be okay. And we will be more than okay. Because if we all think about our Kuleana and what we do and what piece of the pie we all have in making Hilo a great place, we'll be okay. Yeah. We'll be okay because at the hospital, this is all of our leadership. These are 155 of our leaders. And that's a lot of people. Because that we have 2,000 employees now. When I first started, we had less than 900. And now we have 2,000. And we span from Hilo to Honoka to Pahoa, Ke'au, and Ka'u. And then our clinics are just massive. Yeah. And the best part is that these are my friends. A lot of them I grew up with. A lot of them have become my friends. Everyone should be so fortunate to work with people they care about. And a lot of us been through the pandemic together, and so there's nothing that bring you closer than a pandemic. And you can see how young of a leadership we have. And I'll say this, the hospital has grown because of the stability and leadership. Our CEO has been there for 18 years, so he arrived right after I did because I wrote his press release on his arrival. And these people truly care about what's happening at our hospital, and that's what I want to provide you the assurance that you have people at the hospital who work every day to make it better. Okay, and then I know everything's going to be okay because I have family. Family is so important, and family is what you make of it, right? This is my dad's funeral in July. And, we miss him dearly. It was rough. And, the little girl in me was real sad. And then, the big girl in me was like, but wait a minute, we're okay. We are okay. And he also brought us closer together, as if we couldn't be closer. We were close already. So since the funeral, we had 2 babies born into the family. And there's a 3rd one that's coming around his birthday. So, and it's a boy. So good luck to my brother and his wife. But this is how I know that my foundation is solid. And I also have my own little family, right? My own little family makes me happy. It gives me purpose and says, if you start with your little family and your bigger family and then everybody else who's here is family and friends, then we can be okay. So that leads me into turning it over to you guys on what your thoughts are on your 3 guideposts that'll help you create your purpose, your Kuleana, in making sure that our whole pie, our whole Hilo, is going to be okay in the coming years. Because there's no other choice. You might as well be okay, more than okay. So with that, we can move on, or or take some questions, or ask it, whatever you want.
We can throw a round of applause. So we asked her to come up with a discussion prompt for you all, and this is what she wanted us to do. And I think it's brilliant, actually, because we have people who are in college and at various stages of our lives, and so maybe we've accomplished these 3 things already. Maybe we still have 3 things we would like to accomplish, but for the next 7 to 10 minutes, could we break up into groups of 5 to 7, make sure we vary the age, and talk about these 3 things, whether we want to accomplish them, when we have accomplished them, and maybe we can encourage each other on ways to accomplish them. So go ahead, break up into groups of 5 to 7, and we'll give it to 7 to 10 minutes. And then come back.
Yeah.
All right, I think We've had a lot of like lively conversations, which is really good. I actually like when questions are open-ended like this instead of very specific. It gives more engagement and interaction within the groups. And so any group want to share some aspirations or maybe things that have been accomplished over the years? What are some dreams that we have? She's like, share your dream. Would you like to share your dream?
Well, she's got the dream, but we did homework.
Homework.
So we have our 3 guideposts.
Yeah.
It was like a quiz. So it is innovation,
Okay.
genuine connection, and outreach.
Okay. And that's also what your homework to do.
Well, yes, this is true. Now we gotta follow it.
I know, yeah.
That was how we would fill it. We
Nice.
decided. But, yeah, the ridiculous dream.
Oh, yes, the ridiculous dream. Do you want to share the ridiculous dream? Are you okay?
Sure. So the Ridiculous Dream is like a 3-part nonprofit that combines a homeless shelter with a dog training facility, taking in shelter dogs, training them to be service dogs, or just training them for regular household pet stuff, so they're not sent back to the shelters as often. And the third part of that would be taking the service dogs that are trained in the homeless shelter and providing them to veterans in need of service animals. So it's kind of big.
Sounds like you're going to have to hire some people. So, any other group want to share any dreams, aspirations, or maybe homework that they come up with? Anybody? How about this middle group over here? You all had a little cheer at the end?
Yeah.
We're in the stage, I think the generalized statement was exploring different options.
Okay.
And, you're in one path, but you have various interests. And so it's an opportunity to explore those options.
Nice.
And that's pretty much the uniform. Everybody's in a little different direction, but the idea is they're not like, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. It's like I'm exploring my options.
I like that. Not stuck on one path, but being adaptable to many paths. I like that.
Correctly.
Yeah.
Thank you, my group said yes.
Any other group wants to share or talk about your journey? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm pointing to you guys.
You have to talk now.
Well, I want to say that I had the privilege of being in this group of young men, and it gives me great honor and hope for the future. They had a lot of insight, and they came up with some themes of positivity, leadership, and meaningful moments, like making the most of each moment in terms of being mindful. And they all have direction, but are open-minded and just looking to the future and contributing to the community.
Great, that is very optimistic. I love that. And I love the fact that you all listened to me and kind of varied the groups in terms of different places in your life so that we can get inspiration from the various different perspectives. Does anybody have any lingering questions for them? Closing questions? No? Yes?
You work with Mayor Kimo Alamedo?
I work with him whenever he needs us, yes. Yes.
I just want
We could take a selfie and show him. And I could text it to him. Yeah.
All right, can we give her? Oh,
Just like if you were to add an extra guidepost, is there anything sparkling in your mind that you feel like you might want to tackle on top of your other very large loads of things you do?
I think it would have to be something that speaks to managing my energy. Because I'm at a woman of a certain age now, the energy is It might seem boundless, but it's not as boundless as it has been in the past. And I do really like taking naps. So if you are a dear friend of mine, you know not to call me on weekends and holidays between the hours of 2:30 and 5:30. But then we can have dinner at my house after. So, you know, it's really about managing your time and your energy and where you give it and who you're sharing it with. Because, you know, time is precious and we need to do, you know, we need to move in the positive direction rather than, you know, stale and, you know, or maybe even a waste of time. You don't want to waste your time. It's too precious. Yeah.
All right, great advice, especially for college students, right? Protect your time. Why don't we give her another round of applause?